It is a period of Star Wars mania, as new movies, comic books, novels, and TV shows populate the system. Fueled by their love and passion for the galaxy far, far away, two exceptional geeks tap into hundreds of holocrons in order to bring you the knowledge and insight of all things Star Wars. Come and join them as they go inside the Force.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Inside the Force, the podcast exploring the galaxy far, far away. If it's Star Wars, we're talking about it. And we are me. I'm David Cottingham, one of your co-hosts, along with Casey Cooley.
Howdy.
And a happy May the 4th
Yes.
to everybody.
Happy Star Wars Day, everybody.
Happy Star Wars Day. We are actually recording this on May the 4th for two reasons. One reason, because it is Star Wars Day.
Yeah.
And two, because Casey won't be here next week, so got to get him in. So we might be, a little ahead of ourselves. So there might be some news coming out on Monday that we won't, get to. But anyway, we'll get that on next week. But thanks for joining us. Our website, Inside the Force, is up and running. Came out last week. Really got that done. All the episodes on there, ready to stream. You can just click on them right there to listen to. All of our Twitter and stuff is on there. All of our links to the 21 Network, which is now starting to get some video on there. We got some video on there. In fact, on our 21 Productions page, I don't want to get too confusing, but we have a production company called 21 Productions that does independent films, web series, and then we have the 21 Network, which is our podcasting network that we have created, which right now is 5 podcasts. Every day of the week you can get it. KooCast on Mondays, Inside the Force. This one is on Tuesdays. Popular Fanatics is on Wednesdays. The 21 Podcast on Thursdays. And In the Comics on Fridays. And on YouTube, if you go to youtube.com/21network, you're going to start getting some video to support this stuff. And but because this was not really just Inside the Force related, it was more just Star Wars related and film related. If you go to our 21 Productions YouTube right now /21 Pro, you can see a video we put up. We called it May the 4th Star Wars Quotes Edition, where we're doing a couple skits of these Office characters, and they're using Star Wars quotes throughout the day to kind of just make some jokes with each other. So it's a pretty little fun thing. It's under 2 minutes, real quick. And then there's links at the end to our fan films that you need to go check out. We did a couple fan films over the years, Rise of the Troopers and The Unknown Discovery. Check those out. You can actually go to their websites, respectively, to watch them, riseofthetroopers.com and theUnknownDiscovery.com. And I'm surprised. I don't think we've ever really mentioned those, have we? Maybe once.
Maybe.
Yeah, I know. We're very bad about that. But me and Casey, we do have some ideas about some video associated with this podcast that we will be. And check out our Twitter. By the time you hear this, it'll be up. We did our first Vadering pick.
Yes, good.
I'm choking the hell out of you. That was really cool. That's fun to do. So anyway, follow us on Twitter at Inside the Force for all the latest news and updates. We're retweeting a bunch of stuff from the Star Wars universe, news and stuff as it happens. So follow us on there. And thanks for all the comments and mentions on there. I know we got some dedicated followers, and we appreciate that.
Yes.
So also today, real quick, was Free Comic Book Day. I know Casey had a lot going on today, so I know he couldn't make it.
Yeah.
And congratulations, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I graduated college.
Yes.
Yeah.
You graduated college. That
I'm
is
unemployed
awesome.
now.
Exactly.
Living with my parents.
So Free Comic Book Day was this morning. I was able to go for a little bit before I had to go watch you graduate.
Yep.
But they have one of the free books. I haven't read it yet, but one of the free books that came out was a Vader Boba Fett story. So I'm eager to read that. So if you get a chance to, you can probably hit your comic book store. They might have some leftovers. They usually have some stuff left over for the next couple of days. But go check that out. It's a free comic book day at your local comic book shop. So we're going to get into. You might be confused by the title a little bit, thinking it might be a person. but we're actually getting into a system.
Yes.
The 5 brothers that we are talking about in the title are the 5 planets that make up the Corellian sector, the Corellian system. So we're going to get into Corellia. Not many people might know this. Now, if you're an avid listener, episode 1 was about Coruscant. So this is our second planet that we're going to profile. So we're going to profile Corellia, and then we're going to talk about the latest news out of the Clone Wars. A couple arcs that are getting hinted at. There was a clip released with Jedi Master Plo Koon.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You just saw it just now, right?
I saw it, yeah.
And then we're going to get into a little bit just about our feelings about Star Wars Day and May the 4th and what that means to us.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. Corellia is what's known as the capital planet of the Corellian system, even though it has its own capital, of course, and that is called Coronet. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the 5 brothers, they all obviously orbit their central sun, which is called Corel. Corellia being the largest and the closest, therefore it gets its nickname, the eldest of the 5 brothers.
Right.
It is a core world, meaning that it is in basically the middle of the galaxy, very close to Coruscant and Alderaan. Kind of the, like we talked about with Coruscant, it was the real oldest planets in the galaxy, and the ones that were inhabited first, and the ones that really created and stretched out once hyperspace was invented out towards and spread the galaxies, connected all the species and all that stuff. So it's got 3 moons, and also the other planets of the system. The other brothers, really, Salonia, Draw, Trallus, and Talus are the 5 planets of the Corellian system. And rotation, 25 standard hours around for one rotation during the day. Orbital rotation is 329 days.
So longer days, shorter years.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I wonder how that works. So that is mainly it. Now, this as far as the system itself. Casey's going to get into a little bit of the planet itself, the geographical features of it.
Yes, indeed. Well, as you just said, the main capital is Coronet, and Corellia it's a lot like Earth in a way. It has different environmental
terrain.
Yeah, but to actually see Coronet, you can actually play Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, the Jedi Academy video game. I think it's Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy.
I've never played that.
There's one mission where you can play in that game, and you're in Coronet, and it's very small, but it looks like a city. It's like that was because Coronet's the capital, so there's a lot of like big, tall skyscrapers and cities and all that. So there's a lot of like rolling hills, a lot of mountains, a lot of snow-covered mountains. Much like what we have. There's beaches, there's large seas, forests, farmland. There's so there's a lot of just very, very similar to Earth. There's big cities to small villages. There's farming communities. There's urban, places as well as rural. There's, Coronet, and there's other little places like big touristy cities like Corvella. There's a city called Tyrina. There are cities called hamlets, I guess you call them, within the mountains. There are immigrants, all over the place coming from, to visit the planet. But there's one really cool, interesting tidbit about Corellia that is worth mentioning. There are rumors that there are many deep underwater caverns beneath the surface of Corellia, where it's rumored to house orange lightsaber crystals, which is rare.
Yes.
There aren't many, within canon especially, there aren't many people who would have an orange lightsaber. Not the one there's hardly anyone I can even think of. But
I can't.
There's tunnels underneath the planet, and there's caverns, and it's a very, very busy city. Much not as busy as Coruscant, but as you said, it's in the core world, so it gets a lot of tourists, a lot of immigrants, and a lot of action. So that's probably the main reason why it has all those different environments. You have the farms, but you also have the big cities like Coronet. Yeah, I mean, there's gonna like I'm trying to figure out how. Like we already said the days. Trying to figure out the population of the town. There's about 3 billion people on the planet, which is like half of Earth. I feel like, right?
That's right.
So,
well, I think we're getting close to 7 billion now. But I mean,
okay,
yeah.
Most of them are humans. There's Selonians, 20% Selonians, 20% Drawl, but 60% of the population are humans, as you can see, because Han Solo's from this planet, as well as Wedge Antilles.
That's right. Who we profiled in episode 4.
Profile him. And so they're a big import exporting planet. So it's a pretty hopping place.
It is.
If you ever get a chance to go.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're known. What they're known for mainly is their military.
Yeah,
they build a lot of ships. Fighter ships, cargo ships, battleships. Mainly every ship that, like in episode 5, once the Death Star is destroyed, they get basically attacked on Hoth, and they're basically just floating around in the space. All those ships that you see them in, like those are all Corellian ships. Really.
Yeah,
the Millennium Falcon is a Corellian ship, cargo ship.
A lot of freighters, a lot of freighters,
right? So that's why if you research a lot of smugglers and basically a lot of smugglers like Han Solo, they're all Corellian, because they have they got their ships when they were off planet before they left planet and whatnot, and so it talks about how somehow they were able to, because of their military might, they were able to compensate or trade out, since a lot of the smuggling was going on with their ships. They were getting so much military and providing so much military to the Republic that it kind of weighed itself out. They didn't go under in debt and all that stuff a lot because of the smuggling and stuff like that. So, but the main thing I wanted to get into with Corellia, which is very interesting to me, the involvement that actually the planet had with the Republic, not the Republic, but the Alliance, the Rebel Alliance. For those of you that have, we've briefly talked about it, I think, in had to been episode 2 when we were talking about Bane. We talked about Starkiller a little bit, I think, in the Force Unleashed, the game, which is an outstanding game for one. If you haven't played Force Unleashed, and we're a little biased because we met Sam Witwer, so I'm a big fan of Sam's, and you are too, because of Being Human, right? You watch Being Human.
Oh, I love it.
So anyway, he plays this guy, Starkiller, Galen Merrick, who is from Kashyyyk. Yeah, he was born in Kashyyyk, I think. Well, I don't know if he was born there.
I don't. Yeah, I mean,
but he's like 4 or 5 when Vader finds him.
All right.
During.
Like the Jedi Purge and all that
right.
stuff.
And it's shortly after the Clone Wars, I think.
Yeah, I would say. I would say about 4 years after Episode 3. Or maybe
had to have been. Yeah. And you find out that he is the son of 2 Jedi because they went into hiding.
Yeah.
Fell in love, obviously, or were in love before, I don't know, and had this child. So Vader finds him and finds that he is just powerful as hell. So he trains him, and you fast forward in the game, I guess, almost 19 years. I mean, I think it's like 3 or 2 BBY.
2 BBY, yeah.
2 BBY. And so I won't get into the whole game, but you go through the stretch where you find out that, well, I don't want to spoil it, I guess, for people that haven't played it.
Pause it and go play it.
Yeah, pause it. We're about to spoil it. The Force Unleashed. Pause.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
So anyway, you find out through the game that Vader is actually using you to reveal the what do you call it?
He wants to bring out the political enemies.
Correct. That's right. To reveal the political enemies against the Empire. Yeah. That are, because they haven't formed their alliance yet, but they're talking about it. And there's deleted scenes in episode 3. Remember I showed you this too? There's deleted scenes in episode 3 that kind of laid that foundation, that Padme's meeting with Mon Mothma and Bail Organa. So they, and then there was actually a third, and that's where I was getting at. The third, Mon Mothma, dang it.
Chandrilla?
Great, thank you. Chandrilla.
Yeah.
Chandrilla. Grilla, or something like that. Sandrilla,
the planet she's from.
Yes, and then of course Alderaan had Bail Organa, and then so Garm. I never say his name.
I've never heard it pronounced, but I always say Garm Bell Bliss.
Garm Bell Bliss.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's the senator at this time.
Yeah.
While it's happening of Corellia. And I think he's leader. I think somehow he's leader of the military part too.
I don't know if he is now, but he does become he's a big military guy in the EU.
So so the three of them, that's what you find out in the game, that the three of them have been plotting how they're going to attack the Empire, how they're going to combat the growing threat of the Emperor and the Empire, and so it happens that basically they get caught, and Starkiller kind of sacrifices himself in order to get them to form the Rebel Alliance with General Coda. You find out there's a Jedi, General Coda, that is kind of provides the Jedi side of it. But the real interesting, well, I won't say that, but the real interesting part is that during the game you meet on Corellia, and the place where they actually say for the first time, like, okay, we are going to form the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah.
Bail Organa, since he's wealthy, he's going to provide the wealth to fund the rebellion. Mon Mothma from Chantrilla, it was going to supply all the soldiers. And then Garm Bale Bliss to provide the military, the ships. That's why you see all the ships of the Rebel Alliance. So they're on Corellia, and then they call the thing. It's called the Corellian Treaty.
Right,
is what ultimately forms the Rebel Alliance. So Corellia is a major planet in the Star Wars universe, even though the movies never really talk about it, never really get into it. I mean, you really don't even know Han Solo is from there unless you read.
He mentions, I feel like somewhere.
I think it's mentioned the Corellian. It's a Corellian freighter. I think it's somehow the Millennium Falcon. I think is mentioned that. Maybe he's mentioned as Corellian.
I feel like
I don't know.
He mentions Corellia somewhere.
Yeah. But it's a very big
Correct
planet.
us on that.
Yeah, it's a it's a very important planet.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to highlight that especially. So of course, well, they actually don't go back there after. I was going to say I thought they discovered the crest there, but that was Kashyyyk still. But Corellia, main system in the Galactic Republic. There's a lot of EU stuff, and I want you to mention one. I want you to mention one that was, because we don't really, if you kind of listen to us, we really don't want to hit on too much expanding universe stuff because we kind of want to stay canon,
right?
So, but there is a lot of EU stuff. There's one that
we mentioned one back when we talked about Wedge, because there was like another kind of almost a galactic civil war later on, like after the Yuuzhan Vong War, which Corellia was a big part of. But whenever I read the expanded universe stuff, there was a super weapon on Corellia called Centerpoint. It was a space station.
Right.
I haven't known much about it, so I actually don't know if it was a space station outside the planet. But I know the weapon was manned, I believe, on the planet. I'm pretty sure, and it had a lot of involvement in the Yuuzhan Vong War because the Solo children went to Corellia to talk to their uncle, Thrak and Sal Solo, to help operate the Centerpoint station to destroy a lot of the Yuuzhan Vong ships, and they did, and it worked, but it came out of price or whatever. It's like a big super weapon that was later decommissioned for obvious reasons, because it's a weapon of mass destruction.
Right.
So it's basically like a Death Star on a planet. Like it uses the power of tractor beams to basically pull. They can pull a planet, even that's what I've read, but like it almost to destroy them. So like it used these intense tractor beams to like just destroy ships, and so that's one of the biggest things I remember about Corellia from the expanded universe. That and the whole Galactic Civil War thing at the end. But.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, I was about to say there are a lot involved in the next Galactic Civil War in the New Republic.
Yes,
because it took them a while. I read too that. To join the New Republic, actually. I don't know the exact circumstances of that, but like I said, it's not canon, so it's hard to say what that is. But yeah, so those are the real important canon stuff we wanted to kind of say. like we said, home world to Han Solo, Wedge Antilles.
Yeah, maybe we'll see some Corellia in the new trilogy.
I think we will.
Maybe Han Solo and Leia living on Corellia.
Yeah,
with their kids.
I think we will. Yeah, because they can't go to her home world.
Oh,
I know it's below the belt.
It's always too soon for that.
Yeah. But so Corellia might be but more likely they're going to be on Coruscant.
Probably,
I would say.
yeah.
But it's very similar planet, very close. So that's about that's Corellia.
Corellia.
And I would say maybe that might be one we come back to. That's probably not, unless there's like something big canon wise that comes up with it. But I think that's the most important stuff right there. So we're gonna hit on some very cool news, I think, that came out this week. Clone Wars. Me and Casey both. We've been following it since the beginning. We're pretty avid fans and avid followers of the Clone Wars ever since episode 1, season 1, man. So I was one of those, and we talked about it a little bit, I think, in the first episode where we were saying, how disappointed we were about it being shut down, even though we knew that there's stuff left.
Yeah.
Now, I do think at the end of season 5, I do feel like the Ahsoka thing is done. Like
we won't see her ever again.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
And Dave Filoni kind of talked about that.
Yeah.
Because, even though the Clone Wars felt like it was about her, it was more about, it did expand a lot more beyond the Jedi than I anticipated it would. You know what I mean? I mean, they went a whole story arc this past season with just droids.
Yeah, it was actually really good. Usually, I don't like the droid episodes, but
I know
this one was good.
So they've done where it's just like clone troopers, droids. Sometimes it's they introduce another Jedi, and follow him. So, I mean, sometimes you go 3 or 4 episodes, never see Obi-Wan, never see Anakin. Yep. You hardly ever see the Emperor, or Sidious or Grievous. So they've done a great job, and we're talking about just the Clone Wars, and there's so many stories going on, so many storylines going on, so many battles. But I was disappointed to hear that they weren't going to do a 6th season, because I felt like the 6th season would have been the last.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I mean, there's only 3 years in between 2 and 3, where this takes place. So, but kind of talk about what they revealed this week.
Yeah. Well, because we know that it had been released quite a while ago that there were going to be some story arcs that were going to be as bonus content, maybe online. And we heard that one of them, we talked about this earlier, there was a clip released about that one clone trooper who shot and killed that Jedi.
Yeah.
And so we got with information about that, saying that it was going to be about Order 66, and kind of explain about that, more about the deal behind Order 66 that we saw in episode 3. But we were this past week we were given another clip from a future episode, bonus content, that dealt with Plo Koon and some clone troopers on some planet, going like they're looking for something. In the clip, you haven't seen the clip, but you should go watch it. Basically, Plo Koon, they find a lightsaber in this crashed ship that looked like it had been crashed there for quite a while. And Plo Koon finds this lightsaber, and he's like saying, we need to collect and take everything back to Coruscant. It was a super cool clip, and by the way, just the animation in that clip is daggone amazing. Like, they're getting better and better, and it stinks that they had to close it because it's so good, animation. I want to see a movie with that. But anyways, so the big news coming with that clip is that one of the story arcs, maybe it's a little confusing how many story arcs we're getting, but one of the story arcs will be about Plo Koon finding this lightsaber, which eventually leads to the explanation about Master Sifo-Dyas of the Jedi Order. And if you know about Master Sifo-Dyas, he was only mentioned in episode 2.
Yes.
Attack of the Clones, whereas it was believed that he commissioned the creation of all of the clones. And we found out in the movie that really was Count Dooku pretending he was Sifo-Dyas, right? Is that how it really was?
No, actually,
Sifo-Dyas really did do it.
Yeah, but what I understand, and I think, and I'm not sure if it's canon.
Yeah,
is the problem is I think there were comics that came out with a storyline of Sifo-Dyas.
Yeah.
And the only thing it was said that was that Sifo-Dyas was a member of the Jedi Council. Mm-hmm. He was during I think during episode 1. I don't know if he's sitting on the council at that point, mm-hmm. but that's when the creation happened, when the order happened. So there's a shot, there's a panel if you look on Wikipedia where you can read about it. But there is a panel where it shows Dooku mm-hmm. talking to a dead Sifo-Dyas. So he had just killed him. Okay. So I think what is understood, and I have to look it up again to be sure, but I think what happened is under duress. Mm-hmm. Like it was something that Dooku made him do.
Okay.
And then he killed him.
Okay.
So it was one of them things where I think that, and I think it was supposed to be explained. I read too. It was supposed to be explained in episode 3. Mm-hmm. And even so, for sure, in the novelization of episode 3. But for some reason, they kept it out. Maybe because of this. Yeah. Maybe the plan was to do a Clone Wars arc about it. I don't know. But yeah, there's not much about Sifo-Dyas.
Yeah. I mean, this is what Dave Filoni says about the new things. He says the story arc, one of the arcs, and this is also in USA Today, so it's like a paraphrase of what Filoni is saying. Plo Koon will find a lightsaber on a sandstorm planet. And it's one that makes it leads to a huge mystery behind Sifo-Dyas and all this stuff. It will lead the Jedi to question their role in the Clone Wars and the universe itself. So it's going to be apparently a pretty deep episode.
So that is the Plo Koon finds his ship, I guess.
I mean, that's what it's not clear, but I guess that's what it is. It leads to more about Sifo-Dyas. So it's I'm trying to figure out here some more because it says because Filoni just wants to get these are the questions that he wants to answer. Like he says, who was Sifo-Dyas? What happened to him? So it's just basically this is what the whole plot, the whole story arc will be about who he was, how he died, what's the deal with all this, that with all the clone troopers, how they were created and all that stuff. So it's not explained yet when they will air. That's still unconfirmed and. How they will air exactly, which most likely will be on the internet. But I hope we get to see these soon. I mean, looks like they're already done. Really, I mean, these might have been finished, early last year or late last year or whatever. Because as we know, they work ahead a lot of the time on the show. They always have almost a season done by the time the previous season airs on TV.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a lot of episodes here that we need to see. I mean, they absolutely had several story arcs in the works already, but looks like they already had 2 or 3 already completed.
Yeah.
So we're not done with Clone Wars yet.
No.
And
thankfully.
Yeah. Thankfully.
No. Okay. So I did just look it up real fast to correct myself. So what actually happened, according to this, like I said, this is not canon. This is something from I think it was from novels or expanding the universe stuff that but anyway he actually, it says here that he actually was the one on the Jedi Council that just disapproved of everything that was going on with the decisions about possibly going to war. And he did, it seems like, approach the Commodians about making an army for the Republic, basically almost just in case something happens, we need these soldiers because there's no way us Jedi can do it. Well, what happened was Dooku and Sidious found out about it. And then that's when they killed him to take over because they knew that the Jedi Council didn't know about it. So they killed him, and then that's how they took control. They used that to their advantage kind of thing.
Maybe that's how it's going to be.
I guess. It sounds like, I don't know, it sounds like they're going to go a lot deeper.
Yeah.
Into that. So that whole thing might change as far as that goes.
Well, if you want to know more about just what Dave Filoni wants to do with Clone Wars, you can read the USA Today article on their website. So a lot of, I'm excited.
Yes, I'm excited.
So it's crazy what's going to happen.
And then the other news is about Celebration.
Yeah, as we all were assuming, rumors out there that Star Wars Celebration 7 will be in Orlando next year, again, at the same convention center. There's this company, Reed Pop, who I believe might have helped organize all the events for Celebration ever since it's been, every time they go to Orlando, I guess. This company, I guess it's like a planning events company or something like that. I'm not sure. But they have a list of scheduled events happening next year, and on the schedule of events, they have Star Wars Celebration listed at the Orange County Convention Center in Orlando, Florida, which is where it's been for the past 2 years. So I mean, I think it's obvious that it's going to keep going back to Orlando because of the whole Disney merger. But so we'll probably won't know that for sure though until probably Celebration Europe later this year. And that's pretty much the only big news with the next celebration. But like the next small tidbit is there's a tweet today about George Lucas and Disney CEO Bob Iger that they are going to make a big announcement at some point soon, sometime soon, which it's not said exactly what about. So it could be about Celebration, or it could be about like maybe a Star Wars land. You know, maybe Disney's going to make a Star Wars theme park, which would be super awesome, which is I've been wanting for a super long time. But it doesn't say when we'll get it. Just say we'll probably get it soon. A huge announcement by Bob Iger and George Lucas. And that's pretty much the only news that's been happening for the past week. I don't know. I'm not sure what else we'll get. Hopefully some episode 7. There's been some interviews with J.J. Abrams just talking about episode 7, just saying how he's approaching the story, like, you know, story different from Star Trek, you know, how he's going to kind of work on it. Talk about John Williams. John Williams might... He wants John Williams to score the music, basically. Like John Williams, which is awesome.
Freaking awesome.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to happen. But because people were thinking he might use Michael Giacchino. But
who is good.
Yeah. He's really good. And he'd be a good substitute because he's very good at mimicking certain fields.
Absolutely.
So
now, okay, so before we move on to the last part, but I do got it because I read up a little bit more on this. Is actually pretty cool, the Sifo-Dyas thing.
Yeah. Because,
you know, we're not going to highlight Sifo-Dyas. There's not a lot of stuff, so might as well get it out loud here. And this is good because this is a pretty crazy tie-in. This actually ends up being part of the history. But so he became very close to actually Count Dooku when Dooku was a Jedi. They were actually seen together a lot in public. And it says here that Master Sifo-Dyas was a Jedi gifted with precognition. Which means see the future. Right. More so. Even Jedis do see the future. Yeah. But I guess precognition is more like, I don't know if it's more actual.
I guess you can do it.
Versus images. You know, like he's, like, you know, Yoda always says images, feelings. You know, maybe he's actually seeing the future. I don't know. But so in 52 BBY, this is 20 years before episode 1. Okay. Yeah. Sifo-Dyas accompanied Dooku, Qui-Gon Jinn, and Jedi High Council member Jocasta Nu. So she's the librarian, the main librarian, the keeper of the knowledge, you know, all the archives and stuff. So they go on a meeting on on a planet called Sereno. After hours of a debate, they recess, and the Jedi were confronted by Damask Holdings Magister Higo Damask. Does that name? Do you know that name? Higo, Hego Damask, Damask. I
don't think I recognize it.
Well, I didn't know it until I just read this. Yeah. But Higo Damask was Darth Plagueis.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So here's the thing: is that Damask, he's the one that aired his concerns about the future of the Republic to Dooku and Sifo-Dyas. So he's telling them, and both Dooku and Sifo-Dyas responded with their own concerns. So it kind of even laid the seed there. So Master Sifo-Dyas, it says here, Master Sifo-Dyas was quite stern with his answers and reluctant to agree with both. It seemed like he was. Well, he responded with their own concerns. He wasn't quite. He says that he was reluctant to agree with them, but it sounded like Dooku was siding with Darth Plagueis, which kind of maybe laid the seed. But then it says sometime after, Sidious and Dooku were present at the Senate building and met Senator Palpatine of Naboo, Damask's Sith apprentice.
So Sifo-Dyas and Dooku, you say met him?
No, Sifo-Dyas and Dooku met with Palpatine, who was at that time the apprentice. Yeah. Under Plagueis. Very crazy. So that's really, I mean, you can see the behind the scenes working politically. So I didn't know Darth Plagueis was I guess he wasn't. It doesn't seem like he was a senator or anything. It says he was in charge of Damask Holdings. I don't know. It's probably a bank, I guess, is what I'm assuming.
That's crazy thing. I never even thought of like a little, like almost a secret identity he has.
Yeah, see, he had it too.
We better
apparently.
Get a
Seems like,
movie.
yeah, it seems like which is cool because this kind of stems back when we talked about Darth Bane.
Yeah.
How the rule of two and how they were just kind of laying secret, but the secret they were just going to hide in a cave. Mm-hmm. They influenced politically.
Yeah.
Into the whole destruction of the Republic, man. I mean, that was awesome, man. That is crazy. So
yeah, I hope we get a movie. We better get a movie.
yeah. So Damask Holdings is a financial group closely allied to the International Intergalactic Banking Clan. So yeah, so they're more financial. So he was a big head of that. So Darth Plagueis. So man, that's we might do part. He's canon, so we might have to do that.
Yeah.
So before we do the trivia, I want to kind of get some words from us because it is Star Wars Day, May the 4th. I hope you guys had a great, you're listening to this a couple days after if you're listening to it when it comes out. But I wanted to say, I wanted to kind of talk about, because this is episode 7 of our podcast. It's pretty, ironic, I guess, because there's a grand episode 7 we're waiting in a couple years. I just think next year. 2 years. Next year, a celebration though.
Yeah,
seeing some stuff
happen,
dude. We're definitely there. I mean, there's no doubt. I will walk down there.
I'm walking home.
But I wanted to kind of, if you're listening to us, we appreciate it for one. If you're new to listening to us, we wanted to kind of talk about a little bit about what Star Wars means to us and why we're doing this podcast. And, it's not just that we're trying to do a podcast and get in. We've both been fans since birth, I would assume, as first we, the original trilogy came out when I was young.
Yeah.
The prequels came out kind of when you were young. I
knew about them before, but
right.
Yeah.
But you were, because you were like 8 or 9 when
Special Editions was when I hit it big.
Like 6, right?
Yeah.
You were like 5 or 6, I think.
Yeah.
See, Star Wars. I was born the year Star Wars came out, so I didn't really get into it until around Empire, Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi, really, because that's when I really remember. I was like 5 or 6, same age as you were. So, but anyway, I just kind of wanted to just give our feelings about Star Wars, what it means to us, what Star Wars Day mean to us, because we want you to know that we're passionate about this in this podcast. So. You want to go first?
Yeah, it's just, I guess I treated today almost like Christmas. I felt like, because I was, today's I graduated, so I was saying like happy graduation, whatever. But like I was going around campus earlier today and just thinking happy Star Wars Day, everybody. Yeah. Happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. And like all the on the surface things, I wear a Star Wars shirt like almost like on school, like almost every Tuesday, Thursday, whatever. I would wear a Star Wars shirt, and I was always known as like a Star Wars shirt, whatever. Like everybody would be asking me how do you have all these shirts, whatever. But and I always
and you're wearing one.
I'm wearing right now. Yeah, like people would always see me as a Star Wars guy. Like that when you get to know me like very quickly, that's one of the things you know about me, like comic books, but also Star Wars. Like I would watch it all the time as a kid. Like I remember like. Around the special edition would come out, mom would be cleaning the house, and I'd just be plopped on the couch, like absorbed into episode 5 or whatever was happening. Like I remember watching like Luke and trapped by the Wampa, in episode 5, just watching it, and I would watch it. Episode 6, I remember watching that, at night while I was laying in bed, just having it on. And then the Ewok would die. That one scene, I would go crying to mom because the Ewok died. But it's fun. It's easy to joke about, how, Star Wars geeks, like we joke about Trekkies, Trekkers, whatever you want to call them. How they're such, it's so lame, crazy, stupid, whatever. But like, honestly, there is a lot to Star Wars. We're not just fans because it's cool. Yeah, it's cool and it's awesome. But there's a lot behind Star Wars that, emotionally, even sometimes spiritually connects with us, us as fans. With me particularly, I grew up watching Star Wars because I attribute probably most of my imagination to Star Wars. Like it expanded what I could think of, and it allowed me to have fun because I would, start off having scenarios of me fighting as a Jedi. I would have to create my own characters. Me and Corey did that a lot. We would create our own Star Wars characters. We would play with the toys. We would write our own Star Wars fan fiction, and and then later on, like making little short fan films about Star Wars. But it really it allowed me to have fun, and allowed me to expand my mind, and it allowed me to just be a kid. Even to today, Star Wars still allows me to be a kid. And and there's on the characters, the characters in Star Wars, you have everybody you can identify with. Like, you have the goofy C-3PO. For us, is it's a bit of a burden for some people, but Jar Jar Binks is as a kid, it was awesome.
A lot of kids. My daughter loves Jar Jar Binks.
Like, I loved Jar Jar Binks as a kid, and I loved, always loved Luke Skywalker. And growing up, I love Han Solo because he's the kick butt guy. He gets the girl. Like, so like I want to be Han Solo now because I'm older and he's awesome. But as a kid, I always wanted to be, I don't know, like just some Jedi, like Luke Skywalker, because he was the kid. I mean, it's just, there's a lot, and it's just a lot you can say about it. Like, whenever I watch it, there's always just that feeling I get inside of, of a hope and of a journey and of an adventure, and I feel like, I always want to live I wish I could live in Star Wars universe, but like almost make a Star Wars universe of my own, of what I'm living, and like having that sense of fun and that sense of that journey, because everything, Star Wars is a space, epic. You have it's all about the journey is what Star Wars is. It's philosophically, it's very deep and rich of the hero's journey. You have Luke Skywalker. He is 19 years old. He grows up. It's a coming of age of him. He becomes a man at the end. He faces a lot. He has a lot of issues, family and with minor scales and major scales. And so it's something that I identify with. Everybody identifies with, as a person. And it's very human. Star Wars is a very human story, and it identifies. You feel empathetic towards it, and that's something that I can always go to when I'm dealing with something. I see Star Wars and just the journey and the story of it as, part of a model, almost to keep going, to keep pushing forward, to be a hero in your own way, kind of thing. There's so many applications Star Wars can have in a life, and I'm sure I'm missing big parts of it, but the bottom line is I'm attracted to what I feel when I watch Star Wars. So when I watch Star Wars, I feel, there's just a warmness that just takes over when I watch it. Even the prequels, say what you want, but I watch Star Wars and it gives me the same feelings as the originals. There's a lot of love, there's a lot of happiness, there's a lot of risk and danger, and there's just a lot of heart in Star Wars, and that's key. That's what we need. Star Wars is what we need. So I mean, in a nutshell, I guess that's kind of
very well put. And I echo a lot of that stuff. And I know for me, like I said, I grew up basically in the 80s when the original trilogy was all we had.
Yeah.
And it was, even though, when episode 4 first came out, it wasn't dubbed episode 4.
Right.
So once, though, that they were dubbed 4, 5, and 6, there was that big lingering question. Now, I was a kid, so I really didn't think about it too much. So I was like, when am I getting the next movie, But, after a while, it almost was like, yeah, I guess we're never going to get it, whatever. I know he had to wait and wait and wait. Almost basically 22 years or 18 years since the Return of the Jedi. But my big thing was I knew from an early age, and it wasn't because of Star Wars. For some reason, I was just always attracted to space and other worlds and aliens and just exploration. Because so I knew science fiction was in my blood. I just knew it. And and this is the ultimate science fiction story for one. But I attribute my kind of this a little bit too about my love for it is that when I grew up in the 80s, it's strange because if you know me, like you do, and people know me about how much I love Star Wars and stuff, I don't own. In the 80s, I didn't own a single Star Wars toy. And people were like, what? It's weird because when I played with toys, I played with G.I. Joes, Transformers, and He-Man, Master of the Universe.
Yeah.
Those are like the things I bought. And those were the cartoons that were on at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, all we had were the movies, the Star Wars movies. But to me, like they were just it wasn't like a toy to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It wasn't like it's weird. It's kind of weird to explain. It wasn't like a toy that
Yeah.
like those were such good movies, and my ultimate level of like fandom was almost my appreciation. You know, like this God is so epic, and so even as a kid, I thought that. And I remember when, you know, obviously I grew when I got to high school in the early '90s, and you know, obviously I kind of got out of the watching movies and playing with toys and all this stuff. So I was doing a lot of sports. So I kind of fell out of it, not out of it a little bit, but I still had my love for it. But it wasn't until I think it was around 95 or 96. I think it was 96. I went to Ace Ventura when Ace Ventura came out, right? I went with a big group of people, my high school. And I'm sitting in the theater, and all of a sudden that trailer comes on.
That's when it aired?
Well, yes. The little screen.
Yeah.
There's a little TV screen in the middle of the screen, right? And I was like, what the hell is that? And it's like, for a whole generation, Star Wars could only be viewed on this television screen until now. And all of a sudden the X-Wing bursts out, you know, and I'm like, because that was the first time I had only saw Return of the Jedi in the theater, right? So, and I was only 6 years old, so I vaguely even remember. Right. I remember images, but that was the first time I saw Star Wars widescreen, basically, because I had a 4:3 VHS, right? So I'm like, I'm staring. All my friends are like talking and all this, not even pay attention. I'm just like staring at this thing, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Star Wars is coming back out in theaters? Like, what?" And it's special edition because then they had the whole shots of Yavin, you know, flying by Yavin, Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah.
I mean, all this stuff. I was like, oh my, this is incredible. And then immediately I realized that they were selling the originals on VHS still. You know, for the final time, get the originals. It was that box set where Vader was on one side, Yoda was on the other. Right. And, you know, they had a Stormtrooper and Vader and Yoda on the 3 tapes. So I got those. I remember getting those, and I wore them out, man. I wore them out. That's all I watched for a couple years, I remember. And then when I went to college, I was still popping them in. I took them to college. I remember I would always just throw them in my VHSs, let them play in my room, man. I watched and went to the premieres, obviously, of the. I remember camping out. I remember when I'm sorry, this is when episode 1 came out. Then, so the whole rumor stuff came out, episode 1. And I camped out. I drove here. Get this, the trailer for episode 1. I found out I was getting attached to a certain movie. Right, I don't even remember the movie because the trailer wasn't released in Lexington. We found out. Me and my buddy, who was this guy in college, and his name's Corey White. Me and him were huge. I mean, he was the biggest Star Wars fan I found in college. Right. We found out that the trailer was playing in Cincinnati. Yeah. We drove to Cincinnati. Watched the trailer and then left. That's why I don't even know what movie it was attached to. We walked in, sat down, and there was like a pretty big group of people. You know, people seeing this movie. We sat down, watched it. We're like, "Whoa!" And then got up and left. And people were like, "Did they just come for the trailer?" So that's dedication, man. But so to me, after all that, you know, everything I've done, then we camped out for episode 1 a couple days. Man, I mean, and I saw it 4 times that day, episode 1. And a lot of people dish, you know, like me and you have had this talk a million times. Many people throw down on the prequels, but I mean, I've always said this. I just feel like I don't want to, I know people have problems with it. I respect that, whatever. But to me, it's like, I am so understanding of, this is George Lucas's world. I mean, he created this world, and even though there's been a lot of people that have contributed to it, I mean, this is his vision, and of course the prequels are his vision because he wrote and directed all 3 of them. So to me, you know, I'm with it. I love them just as much as the originals. I mean, I really do. I can tell you my favorites. You know what I would put in order, but to me, the whole thing is Star Wars. The whole thing, the Clone Wars, the games, whatever. I mean, it's Star Wars. You know, I saw in 1995, I went and saw Braveheart with Mel Gibson, and I walked out of there saying, that is the best movie I've ever seen. And to me right now, I can even say right now, like, that is the best movie I've ever seen. Braveheart is number one on my list. And people are like, well, what about Star Wars? Star Wars doesn't even count.
Yeah.
That, you know, obviously, everything Star Wars is up here.
Yeah.
Then you start talking about everything. I don't even have to mention that stuff. That's how much I love it. It's so much more. And what it means to me, especially, is like you know, it gives you it just gave you imagination. It gave you dreams. It gave you, especially a guy that loves sci-fi, just the possibility of jumping to hyperspace or exploring different worlds, you know. But you know, the story of it is incredible. I mean, the story of it is incredible. Not just Luke, but Anakin and all these storylines in there. I mean, it's not dissimilar from Earth. It's not dissimilar to what happens. It's basically our society just spread out in a galaxy. You know, they do the same struggles of faith, of which is the Force. You know, politics. Man, that's huge in Star Wars. A lot of people don't get that. They hate the political side of it. A lot of people that I know, older people especially, about the prequels, they're like, guys, you know, I don't want to know about the Senate and all this stuff. But that's part of life. It's politics, man. You know, where would we be if we didn't have our government, you know, the president? And there's corrupted people, you know what I mean? So I think it's part of it. So I don't know. I know I'm ranting a lot, but
no, it's okay.
But I think just the essence of Star Wars, to me especially, is you learn so much from it that you don't even know. I mean, compassion, love. I mean, and Star Wars fans, I think, have a huge understanding of it, and especially the true followers of Star Wars. Like, I mean, I think they just get it. You know, they get everything about it, and honestly, that's the number one reason I enjoy so much going to Celebration, because I know that every one of those 50, 60, 70,000 people that go through there, they feel the exact same way I do.
Yeah.
It is awesome, man. It feels so good to go to Celebration. You're just surrounded by everybody that loves Star Wars, man. And I will never stop going to Celebration. I think that is the best thing that they started. I'm sad that it's not every year. You know, I mean, I guess it's this year, but it's in Europe, and I can't make that. But that just goes to show you too how global it is. You know what I mean? I mean, Star Wars has become a culture. It hasn't even just been a movie franchise. It has changed. I mean, just think of how much influence Star Wars has.
Yeah, I was saying that the same thing to some friends of mine.
Yeah, it is global, and now especially being owned by Disney, it's forever. Yeah. There's going to be no end to Star Wars. I mean, our kids are going to be talking about Star Wars, and to me, that is awesome.
Yeah.
And how it relates to this day, they need to make this day official, like in the government. They need to declare May the 4th Star Wars Day. I really truly believe that. It is not that old. I mean, really, I read up on it a little bit. It's really not since 2005, 2006 that everybody started really calling it Star Wars Day, and it's really just ramped up in the past couple of years, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I heard about it 2 or 3 years ago.
Right. So, and then on a side note to that, I was at Free Comic Book Day today this morning too. We got a disturbing text from a friend of mine saying that somebody said to them, "Go forth and prosper."
Yeah, that's stupid.
I don't even know if I need to say anymore, but apparently some Star Trekkie person was changing the words, not even taking a real sentence from Star Trek and changing the words so that it fits May the 4th. I'm sorry, but that is not acceptable.
You lose.
It's. I hate to say that. No, I think it's live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper. Yeah.
They're saying go forth and
maybe they say it. I don't know.
They don't say it. I'm pretty positive they don't. No,
I'm pretty random
because it comes from Spock.
Yeah,
and it's live long and prosper.
It must be a Vulcan thing.
I guess. I think it is a Vulcan thing.
Go forth and prosper.
But I love this. You know who? Depressed Vader or Depressed Darth.
Yeah.
The Twitter, very famous Twitter or fake account, but he has a great tweet I just read. He says he tweeted, "May the 4th was fun, but I'm more excited about Revenge of the 5th tomorrow."
Oh, that's good.
That's
very good.
That is awesome. May the 4th and Revenge of the 5th.
I feel like I've heard that before. That's hilarious.
I've never heard that before. I just heard it from him.
That's so
I'm sure
good.
he might have got it from somebody, but
that's so awesome.
But that's amazing. He's got 345,000 followers. So the bottom line, I mean, I think you can understand that we both truly love the Star Wars universe and what George Lucas has now passed on. Realistically, he has passed what he did.
Yeah.
No matter how much I questioned or maybe even didn't like at first, the Disney acquisition. In the end, my daughter is going to grow up every year of her life with a Star Wars movie, starting in 2015. And she's already loving it, so I can't fault George for anything beyond that. I mean, he made the right move, I think, by doing this. And
in 10 years, we'll have 8 Star Wars movies.
I mean, come on, man. That's awesome.
More than what we've had for the past 35.
And I ain't going anywhere for a while, so it's like I'm gonna grow old with this stuff, and it's just it's hard. It even. I mean, I know we explained it a little bit now, but it's hard to explain too. You know how much it means to you and how much it means to us, and because it does shape our lives. It has shaped our life, and it continues to shape our life. And it's great just being with people and talking to people and knowing people that appreciate it and love it as much as you do. I mean, it's true. And I've never really been a Star Trek fan, and I know there's a lot of people that love Star Trek kind of like we do, so I respect them, but I just don't, it's not comparison to me.
Yeah.
As far as the scope and the depth and
just the story and the themes to me.
I mean,
I know a little bit, about Star Trek, but it attracts me more. Star Wars attracts me more.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. So I hope you know us a little bit more now about our love and our dedication to this thing. And then we're going to give you as much Star Wars as we can. And we want to grow this podcast too. I really enjoy doing this because that's partly why we started this.
Talking about it forever.
Yes. Really. If it's Star Wars, man, we want to talk about it. We want to get you in on it. So, all right. So we'll finish up with trivia as we do every episode. I just calculated. We missed last week, right? Both of us, right?
Yeah.
So for people, again, recapping, we're using the book Obsessed with Star Wars, which has 2,500 questions in it, multiple choice questions from the Star Wars galaxy, mainly in the Star Wars eras of the movies. But there are expanded universe questions in here. So right now we're at 3, 2, and 1. Each of us, we've gotten 3 right, 2 wrong, 1 we tied. So that's 6 questions, and we are going to try to answer the 7th question, which is not answer, but it's question 484. 484, which looks like it's going to be in episode 2.
Okay, a lot of episode 2.
Have we done episode 2?
We've done several episode 2 era questions, but it's okay.
Okay. All right, here we go. 484.
Okay.
Let's see. Who was project coordinator for the Clone Army on Kamino?
Okay.
Who was the project coordinator for the Clone War Army on Kamino? A. Lama Su, B. Tun We, C. Fo Ka, or D. Ka Lei?
Okay.
A. Lama Su, B. Tun We, C. Fo Ka, D. Ka Lei?
Okay, well, the question again, please.
Who was the project coordinator? For the Clone Army on Kamino.
Okay.
Who's the project coordinator?
I'm going to go with A.
A. Lamassu.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the project coordinator? I am also going to say A. Lamassu. I think it's Lamassu. Okay, so here it goes.
Oh, it's got to be B.
It's B. Tanwi.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Because I knew it was either of them. I knew it was one of them.
Yeah, but she was the one that...
I thought that was the girl, wasn't it?
Yeah. She was the one that showed met Obi-Wan to Django, right?
Yeah, that's the scene I was thinking of too. So like, I couldn't be her as the guy, right? Lamassu was the guy.
Yes, Lamassu.
Unless we're wrong and was the guy who was Tom Lee was the guy. Oh, dang it. We're not perfect Star Wars fans, guys. At least I knew the names. Because he said, Dad, Tom Lee's here.
Yeah, see? Yeah, that's right. So she was the woman.
I thought it was the girl.
So she was the project coordinator?
I guess.
I'm kind of thinking that Lamassu was like the head of Camino, but I was thinking that he was...
dang it.
Man. Oh, well, so we're both wrong. So it was 3-3 and 1.
Yeah.
Dang it. I thought that was Lamassu, yeah. Okay, so... all right, so that's our episode 7. Thanks for checking it out. Again, follow us on Twitter at Inside the Force for all the news and updates. Links to all our podcasts now, InsideTheForce.com. Send us some emails or tweet us, mention us, rate us. If you've got any questions for us, let us know. We'd love to answer some questions. We're going to try to expand this thing too. I think we might start bringing on a couple guests. I have it in mind. We definitely want to get some interviews eventually from some Star Wars people. So we're going to be adding a lot, like I said, to the YouTube channel. Check that out, youtube.com/21network. You'll get some stuff. Go to Twitter. Check out our Vadering pick. That's going to be cool. That's cool. That's really cool. So that's our episode for Casey Cooley.
Everything's perfectly all right now. We're fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
Little Corellian line, right? Corellian. From The Ultimate Corellian, Han Solo.
Yeah.
That was a good quote, because that's good, because the planet thing.
Yeah.
Did you do one for... You didn't do one for the first one, because you...
Of course not. We didn't do that yet.
We didn't do that yet, so... So, again, congratulations on graduating.
Yeah.
Casey Cooley.
Dunzo.
He is a full-blown citizen now, I guess.
C-, I passed. I'm a college graduate.
A lot of people go to school for 7 years.
I was like, I wanted to grab someone and be like, I'm a college graduate. Like, I didn't know him. Like, we don't. I was like, what do you say? Like,
this is awkward.
Yeah. I wish we had known each other.
This is awkward. Yeah. Tommy boy, I love it. All right, so thanks for listening, everybody. Happy Star Wars Day.
Yes.
Hope everybody had a great May the 4th. Instead of me giving my normal line at the end of May the Force be with you, I've got my 3-year-old daughter here, Sammy, who is becoming a huge Star Wars fan, and she would like to do the sign-off for us.
May the Force be with you.
This has been a production of the 21 Network, a collection of weekly podcasts. For more great podcasts, visit 21network.com. To view additional content, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/21network. Follow us on Twitter at 21network for the latest news and updates. The 21 Network, for the fan and all of us.